It was played over many acres with up to thousands of players and was played for days at a time. There are more than 750,000 players currently playing this sport. It is one of the oldest and fastest growing sports in the United States.
The early European encounter and exchange with the sport of lacrosse. Created by Tanner Peterson and Luke Cobia.
Europeans encountering Native Americans playing lacrosse enabled them to exchange the idea and gain interest in the game to change it from a brutal tradition to a more civilized sport. The main contributor to this tremendous change was William George Beers, but the Jesuit missionaries gave lacrosse its name. This was because the stick looked like a French bishop's crozier. No one really knows when lacrosse started, but some people believe that it started around the 15th century. Native Americans believed that lacrosse was given to them by their creator. They were told the story of the Great Ball Game, the game played between the four-legged animals and the winged birds by their grandfathers. The captains of the four-legged animals were the bear, the deer, and the turtle. The captains of the birds were the owl, the hawk, and the eagle. There was a mouse that was rejected by the four-legged animals and wanted to join the great game. The winged bird's captains took pity on it and gave it wings with leather from a drum. That is how the bat came into being. The bat then went on to score the winning goal of the game for the winged birds. The Native Americans then played like the four-legged animals and the winged birds to please their creator. The Jesuit missionaries were the first to see and record Native Americans playing lacrosse in the St. Lawrence Valley during the 1630s. The man that called it lacrosse in his journal was Jean de Brebeuf and called it lacrosse because of the similarity to a bishop's crozier. In June of 1763, a group of Ojibwa Indians started a game of lacrosse outside Fort Michilimackinac. The British soldiers gathered to watch the game, and the Indian women had brought weapons under their blankets. When the ball was thrown into the fort, the Indians rushed and got their weapons and stormed the fort. When lacrosse was adopted by the Europeans, they used traditional lacrosse sticks, or wooden sticks. In 1937, double-walled stick heads were designed by a man named Robert Poole, but wooden sticks were still used. Plastic stick heads were manufactured in the 1970s and started to replace the wooden sticks. This plastic stick has evolved and most leagues now outlaw wooden sticks. Multiple companies and multiple stick options are now available as time has passed. Al Jack is one of 9 or 10 people that still make traditional lacrosse sticks. This process is very time-consuming. This is important to their culture because the wooden sticks help keep the original game alive. Each Native American child in their tribe is given a lacrosse stick at a very young age and is expected to play lacrosse as they get older. Europeans first gained interest in the sport in 1834 when a group of Caughnawaga Indians demonstrated the sport in Montreal. From there it started to spread all over Canada. When Europeans found out about lacrosse, they started to use it as entertainment, but as time went on, the Europeans realized they could play lacrosse too. Even though traditional lacrosse was described as beautiful by Frank Blackwell-Meyer in his journal, the Europeans wanted lacrosse to change. George W. Beers was the author of the first set of written rules in 1860. Many of the rules Beers wrote are very similar to the rules today. The lacrosse goals and crease have not really changed except in size. Beers also added boundaries and limited the number of players on each team. Lacrosse sticks used to be able to be whatever size they wanted to be to fit the player, but now there are specific dimensions for each type of stick. The nets also had to be flat when no ball was in it. However, because of recent advances in netting technology, the sticks have changed. As time passed, Beers changed the lacrosse balls from a deerskin ball to a rubber ball. The gear has changed from leather pads and helmets to more technological gear such as hard plastic and protective foam to resist hits and prevent injuries. Helmets weren't recorded in use until 1928 at the Amsterdam Olympics. The traditional ball dance that the Native Americans did before every game was not done among white people. In 1859, Beers suggested to make lacrosse Canada's national summer sport. In 1860, lacrosse became Canada's national sport. The Montreal Lacrosse Club participated in lacrosse tours in Europe that led to teams and leagues created in the United Kingdom. After a tour in 1876, many people in the United Kingdom played lacrosse. Englishmen established lacrosse associations in 1879 and 1880 respectively. In 1883, the Montreal lacrosse team returned. Beers was the goalie on the team. There were 62 contests held throughout the United Kingdom, showing the immense growth of lacrosse in Europe since Canada's first tour in 1876. Lacrosse was played as an Olympic sport in 1904 and 1908. It was played at the Olympics as a demonstration event at the 1928, 1932, and the 1948 Olympics. Canada won the gold medal. Lacrosse was only a men's game until 1890 at St. Leonard's School in Scotland. This was a big movement towards women's lacrosse. The headmistress of St. Leonard's School had previously watched a game of lacrosse and decided that she would have the game introduced to the girls. In 1895, the number of players was increased from 8 players to 10 players. Some alumni from St. Leonard's introduced women's lacrosse to other schools in England. Around 1901, women's teams had established more specific positions on the field. In 1912, the Ladies Lacrosse Association was founded in England. Other associations soon followed, and in 1913 they added 2 more players for a total of 12, which is the same amount of players today. Lacrosse became the national sport of Canada, which allowed people in Canada and people around to learn and play lacrosse. Through the European interaction, people from many countries now play lacrosse all over the world. They can all enjoy the game and play with the new non-barbaric rules. From this, there is an international league and players from many nations. The sport entertains all of the viewers that started watching and liking lacrosse to have a new sport and to entertain them in the thrilling ways unlike any other sport. Some historians even say that lacrosse helped change and develop hockey as it developed itself. Women's lacrosse also derived from Europeans' changes. As lacrosse got more popular among white men, many women would watch. This is how Headmistress Lumsden started to gain interest and get girls to start playing it. A long-term effect that the Europeans influenced is that lacrosse became an Olympic sport and a demonstration sport at the Olympics for multiple years. There are now many professional leagues in many countries. There are hundreds of thousands that play lacrosse today in just the United States. In Canada, lacrosse is even more popular because it is a national sport. Even though there are millions of players in the world, there are even more viewers and people that just like to watch lacrosse. Lacrosse has spread through many continents, and there are lacrosse associations in all continents except Antarctica, which totals 54 associations worldwide, not to mention the international league that these countries participate in for the World Championship. The sport has brought up new technologies with more flexible plastics and shafts with carbon fiber to be stronger and more flexible. Many people say that lacrosse isn't important and lacrosse doesn't matter. However, there are millions of players and even more fans and lacrosse enthusiasts. Lacrosse would be a very brutal, barbaric sport without the Europeans changing it. William George Beers and Wells' many other men and women over time have changed lacrosse for the better. From the time when lacrosse was named to now, it has been changing, and now lacrosse is heading towards being back in the Olympics. The lacrosse that they have formed is now a major sport played in 6 continents and over 50 countries. Lacrosse has changed for the better and is now a game of talent, strength, and even a game of thinking.